Hello, beautiful people. I continue to stumble and find my way into and through the world of podcasting. And this conversation with Darren, well, it's a great example of this because I forgot to press record on the video until halfway through our conversation. So if you like to watch and listen to the podcast, please be aware that there is no video until about halfway through. Darren, I love you. Thank you for your understanding. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Darren Percival.
Hey, brother.
Welcome to the greatest comeback. This has been so long in the making. You know, I think I mentioned this idea to you 6 months ago. Was it longer?
Yeah, I think it was around then.
Just been percolating. Just been coming together, you know, little bits and bobs, just kind of materializing and becoming this sort of whole, which has resulted in this podcast. So as someone that I mentioned this to early doors, it's just so nice to finally have you part of this. You know what I mean? Because I feel as though to some degree you've had like some, whether you're aware of that or not, you've had some little creative input into this thing, you know? All the conversations that we had and all the hangs that we had has kind of resulted in this. So
thank you.
So nice to have you, man.
It feels very chill.
It's a good little setup.
It really is.
It's a good little setup.
I really like it a lot.
So straight out of the gates, you get 2 trophies. You're the first musician that's been on the podcast.
Okay.
And you're the person so far that's had the deepest voice.
Yeah, well, I did a gig last night and it was 2 hours, which is sort of uncommon in these times.
Yeah.
So yeah, usually the voice is down in this register after that, you know. So I guess I'm noticing it more because I haven't been working as regularly. So to do something like that and then wake up in this register this morning, I went, oh, I worked last night.
Does it feel good?
You know, oh yeah, it feels great.
Feel good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's great to work. It's really good. I mean, I guess I've never really referred to what I do as that. I think I use the word work when I'm talking about the expansion and the inquiry and the work I'm doing within myself because I love what I do so much, and I don't think I've ever really thought of it as work. But yeah, it is good to be working.
The reason I was excited about, I've always wanted to have you on because I've always known that like one of the ingredients that I'm trying to bring out in guests is this willingness to kind of go, all right, okay, take a look at this stuff, you know. And in terms of the people that are in my life, I've always looked at you as being one of those people that's prepared to go, all right, okay, I'm going to show you a bit, you know. So there's so many ways that we can take this conversation and so many angles. So I think, you know, when I came up with the idea for the podcast, it was like, okay, yeah, you know, I love the idea of a comeback. I love the Rocky concept is, you know, individuals that have gone through difficult times but have been able to kind of alchemize that experience and use it to propel them into some other sphere of their life or or have that be the, you know, the jet fuel that propels them into this aspect of their life where they've come into a closer relationship with themselves. So there's kind of 2 aspects to this. There's the, you know, tell me the story of whatever happened, you know. But I guess the thing that really inspired the podcast and the thing that I'm really interested in is ultimately you can get the money back, you can get the girl back, you can get the house back. But really the greatest comeback is really like getting in touch with who you are, you know. And so some people are going to dig that and tune into that. And some people are just going to want to talk about the fact that they lost their company and they built a new one. Both of those things for me have wisdom in them, you know?
Yeah.
And one isn't necessarily better than the other, but when I was thinking about the podcast and thinking about who would be on it or who could be on it or who'd be willing to be on it, when I thought about you, I thought, well, it kind of ticks both boxes. There's this fucking really interesting story. But he's also someone that at some point or another, and I'm interested to explore where that might have happened for you, they've used all of the pain and all of the drama and all of the chaos to kind of not reimagine, like come into contact with who they really are. So
Yeah, I like that.
yeah.
I like the word of contact there.
Yeah. So I mean, that was the premise for this, and like I said, this has been a little while in the making because you're a busy boy and you're traveling and doing your shit, so it's just beautiful that we've been able to not just do this podcast, but to spend a couple of days together.
Yeah, that's been great.
Like that for me, like in terms of all the guests that I've had on the podcast so far, I haven't spent like a considerable amount of time with them beforehand.
Right.
So it's nice that we've had this ability to kind of spend a couple of days together. We're going to go and see a concert tonight. That to me is beautiful. So it's just been, outside of being able to do this with you, it's been fun just to hang and kind of go, yeah, that's the stuff that I really like about that guy. That's the thing, and dig a little deeper. So it's been worth the wait.
And it feels a little bit like when this happens that this is just something else we're going to do today.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that from somebody that I really admired, a musician, and I got to know them, and I got to be able to ask questions of how they operate, how they meet, what they do live, and also in the studio. And I remember he was saying that, if I've got a gig that night, it's just something else I do, something else that's going to happen in that day, And that was really all he said, but I think it was in the way that he said it after I'd asked that question, what does working at one of those massive venues mean to you, or going into that particular studio, or working with this person, or working on a certain project or something. And then I think he encapsulated all of that just by saying, well, wherever I am, I show up. And I've, that was quite a while ago that was shared with me. So I think I do my best to try to remember that with what I'm involved in. And it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate what I'm a part of or get excited about things. I still really think that I live in a place of wonder. That's something that I'm becoming even more aware of and really happy about, that is part of who I am, is that I do live in that place. So I am really excited about things. It certainly doesn't diminish that excitement, but it's helps to put the things that we're doing in their place, And then I feel like in that, I have a feeling that what he was sharing with me was that then we're present to all the other things, because I guess they're as equally as important. There's something really beautiful about being in recovery, which I am, and there was an elder in the fellowship that said something to me once. He said, "You'll realize soon that to get through this, you put your head in your hands." And instantly I didn't understand what he meant, but he elaborated to say that whatever you're going to do now, make sure you're in it. And if you're washing up, feel the temperature of the water and the suds on your fingers, and in these gestures of like temperature and feeling matter, and the way you move, and how you breathe and how you speak, and you really start to be really present in everything that you're doing, because as much as they say one day at a time, for me at certain parts in this journey, and obviously it's fairly new for me, but what I'm realizing is that some days it's 1 hour at a time, and even in some hours it can be 1 minute at a time.
Yeah,
and those things have been really helpful. And as you were sharing just at the start there, what was coming up for me, and as you were, with all the kind things that you were saying about how happy you are that this is happening, I'm really happy for you that you're here and this is happening for you, because I heard in your voice and in your intention just how you were looking to achieve this, and I think it's great. I think there's a lot happening at the moment where we live, in our world and in the world. And I've always felt like you've been a force for good, brother.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
And I feel like this is an opportunity for other people to get to see that.
Yeah. Thank you. I really
And so I
appreciate
think
that.
that's one of the reasons why I really was looking forward to this.
Yeah.
To get to sit down and connect and share. And I guess if I was to answer a question that you didn't ask, as I'm sitting here in a clarity and I feel brave enough to be able to say in a truth, in this moment, I feel that I am the personification today of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I don't know if I've ever shared that before.
No, you haven't.
So, I don't think I've said that. But in the preparation for this and, in the last half an hour or so, I really came into that. And I just wanted you to know that feels really, really peaceful to share here.
Yeah.
Because we didn't talk about this in all of the, things that we've been doing the last couple of days. But yeah, that really showed up for me just then. And that feels really good. I've heard people say it and I've thought, oh yeah. But to actually feel it is a different thing,
Yeah.
And
You don't realize it, do you? Like,
I don't think
when
so.
you're going through it, it just feels like shit, and you think, I want this thing to go.
Yeah.
I want to press fast forward and have this difficult moment in my life, or this difficult relationship that feels unresolved or prickly, or this situation. I want to get through it because it's such a difficult thing for me to carry. But then when you realize, oh, hang on a second, this might be difficult, but there's this invisible magic that's available to me if I'm aware enough to actually stop. And as you say, I mean, you said it the other night when we were chatting, to step out of that and just see yourself as part of the play. And like you're an actor, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. We'll get your popcorn and sit back and enjoy the show.
You said,
that's
I'll get the popcorn.
Yeah, get the popcorn. Yeah. That comes from an Indian sage, Guruji, who's I was invited by a friend to actually join this amazing community of people from all over the world, actually. And I think they were meeting in India at the ashram where he lives, and they might have actually brought him over to America to be with them. And then when COVID hit, they couldn't travel. And so one of them, a lot of tech guys and girls involved in that. And so they made it a platform. And so we met online. And so, my friend had been inviting me to that, to come over and be a part of it. So I was just not able with my schedule to make it. I didn't have resistance about being a part of it or being there or meeting him and sitting in satsang and all of that. I was really intrigued and really wanted to be there, but I just wouldn't align. And then when it got online, I jumped on, and it was beautiful. And that is his message, really. It's that simple. He just says, sit back and, it's just enjoy is what he talks about. Those two words that he brought together, and that's been really helpful to me as well. But get the popcorn and sit back and enjoy the show. It's like, it doesn't mean you don't have to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But just watching from that place, I think, can be really helpful sometimes. I'm going through that at the moment. I'm not involved in the panic at the moment.
Yeah.
Really consciously. Yeah. As much as I do, like everyone, feel anxious about certain things at times and get myself quite bamboozled by all of the things that are going on in my head at once. I am learning to do that much more, and it's happening much more naturally as well now, which is really relieving. Yeah. And I can really see the benefits of doing it, Yeah. I think I've been a bit, not so much skeptical, but perhaps I've been a little bit apprehensive about detachment. Okay. Like I meet these people, as you and I have spoken about the last couple of days, and the whole time we've been friends, we've spoken about our interactions with people and where they are, and I met this person and had this conversation, and they just felt really filled with light, and they were really peaceful, and they're so calm and and kind of detached. And I'd always think of that and go, I don't want to be detached. I want to be a part of everything. Yeah. Everything I'm involved in. And then, but I didn't think I really had an understanding for so long about what that really meant. You know, I can still be really passionate about everything, but it's just where I'm sitting in it, I guess, helps me.
Yeah.
You know, and some things are coming together, and the timing of this is really good, I think, because it's nice to be sitting in these moments on our journey. You know, it's like I'm not in the depths of despair today.
Yeah.
I can talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm also not where I'm perceiving that I'd like to be.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah.
So it's a great timing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's and I think this is a big impetus for me to like move forward with the podcast was I just kept on and keep on seeing people that have got the anxiety or they're in the drama. But there's something about being in the drama that they don't want to show to other people.
Yeah.
You know, there's this need to kind of almost pretend that everything's okay, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that is not collectively that's not good for everyone, because what tends to happen then is we tend to kind of go into ourselves and think, well, fuck, am I the only person that's concerned about this, or am I the only person that's thinking about this? And I've always looked at people in terms of their willingness and ability to actually demonstrate, or not demonstrate, but show their mess.
Yeah.
You know, have your mess on display, because I think it's good for everyone, you know, because the more you pretend that there is no mess, the subtle vibration that I think you're sending out to the people in your life, in your community, and the people that just encounter you is, oh my God, this guy's got the perfect life. And the reality is that no one's got that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally know what you mean. That's social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you've just created merch for your podcast. That's your t-shirt is show your mess.
Show your mess. Like that's, you know, I think that's really powerful. And I think some of the connections that, if I think about my own life, some of the connections, like the really meaningful connections that I made with people have simply come about because in that moment I was able to go, whoosh, this is me.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit of my shit, you know? And there's almost this, you know, someone tunes into that and go, oh my God, I can be real with this person, and I can have a genuine, meaningful conversation with them.
Yeah.
And so I just, you know, something was just saying to me, you know, there's medicine here. There's medicine for other people. If you can talk about your fucking divorce, or the fact that you got fired from a job, or you got no money, or all the dreams and hopes and aspirations that you had as a kid have not manifested yet, you know, there's something in that acknowledgement, I think, for other people. And they can say, that's me, you know. Yeah. And I'm spending all this energy trying to pretend that everything's okay and that I'm this version of person. And if I can find the courage to start to peel away those layers and do some self-inquiry, then there's magic and medicine, not just for me, but for all the people in my life that come into contact with me, you know?
Yeah. And you were saying you have that experience with strangers.
Yeah.
You'll meet up with someone that you don't know. And I mean, I refer to them as like instant partnerships.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
I find it's happening to me a lot.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the guy at the bus stop.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were talking about someone that you met in a park.
In a park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy that.
Me too. And sometimes those exchanges are more authentic than the exchanges that you have with people that you've known for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, you know?
Yeah.
I find that interesting too. Why is it that in that moment I can just show this individual all of my broken parts?
Yeah.
And there's something about that is, I'm developing connective tissue with this person simply by saying, look at my wounds.
Yeah. And in a way without talking about them.
Yeah.
You know, just how you go into that and the openness of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had some really deeply beautiful conversations with people and I've never seen them again. You know, if I really think about it, there's been a lot.
Yeah.
In a life.
Yeah.
And I guess also because I'm interested in having it happen as well. You know, I don't think I'm out in the world seeking out, who am I going to get to connect with today that I don't know. But I'm certainly open to it when it happens, And I'm finding as I become more calm and I'm moving slower and I think I am finally coming into a place where I'm listening in a different way. I think that in the early part of my life, didn't really have an understanding that other people need to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's certainly changing. And so in those interactions, you're not in all of the things that you've learnt about because they don't know you. And so that doesn't come up. You're not fighting to be heard or wanting to be right or all those things that might have happened in like childhood or in those developing relationships, through your 20s, and when you're really just trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
And how, really, some days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's been happening a lot. And funny, like, I think in being on the road, and especially when I was really busy, and you're on planes a lot, you're in airports and you're in, hotels and, the life of, touring, you do get to do that maybe a little bit more often as well. So I always look forward to that.
Yeah. I think it strikes me that the industry, the music industry, and a career as a working musician is tricky, I would imagine, and there's an aspect of reinvention required. If I think about, artists that have been around for a long time, I mean, a lot of them just do the same shtick, right? And
Sure.
they've had amazing careers and,
Yeah.
but the ones that have been able to, I've always been interested in musicians and artists that have been able to kind of go, time for a change.
Yeah.
Because it says so much about them because you're now leaving the safety of what you do and what you're known for. And now you're entering into this, musical genre, that maybe you're not necessarily that comfortable with, but there's this stretching required of yourself as an artist.
Yeah, very much.
I was wondering whether you could comment on that. I mean, to the extent that you're able to, I mean, to what degree, as you were coming up, was that something that you were aware of or that you were thinking about, or is that just something that happens when you hit your first roadblock as an artist and you think, I've got to change this up or I've got to do something different?
I think it's all those things at once.
Okay.
For me, it certainly was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I look back at those moments when I shifted, I guess, into a new landscape, I think they happened pretty naturally. And it was certainly when I started to feel bored in things was definitely the catalyst for change.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I can actually remember something that just came up just then when you was asking that question was I could remember watching myself do a gig, and I was thinking after, like in the sense in the Wings, and I was like on stage singing, and then I went, oh, that's weird. Like, how's that even happening as well?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, oh, does that mean that that's like the calling for me not to be doing this anymore? Because it was so like normal for me just to be doing what I was doing. I'm thinking, how come that can be happening? Like, am I in this, And if I look back now, I don't think that I was, in some of those experiences, It was time to stop doing that. And for me, I think I made a conscious choice in those moments to actually stop doing what I was doing and not like transitioned into the other thing.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, this is done now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to now start doing something else. And as you said, not having a clue about how to do the next thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely happened as soon as I started looping. And as much as I was imagining in the lead up to that decision how could I walk on stage by myself and not play an instrument? So the pedal was the obvious choice to use for that, experiment. I always called that 10 years of my life really was an experiment. It just kept going, it was, and I was getting results and the data was coming in and all that. And I didn't go, okay, well, I've done this experiment now and this is what it proves. I just stayed in it, because I just enjoyed it so much. And as soon as I started looping and walking on stage on my own, and was getting the reaction from the audience that I was, the combination of that and also how invigorated I felt before I went on stage, because I had no idea what was going to happen at all. And I had never experienced that before because I always had the support of, I've been very lucky in my career to work with the best, really, musicians. I really have, just so many amazing artists, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think that once I was on stage, I was in a position where I was able to delve into the things that I loved about their playing. If I had to put a bass line down, I could think, oh, I love that bass player that I'd worked with for the last 20 years. I'm going to be them on this song.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have the groove of Hamish Stewart when I lay down this beat now, because I just love his playing. And so it really helped me. I could bring that over to what I was then doing vocally by myself. But yeah, I do remember that. It didn't go away with the looping, actually. I can't remember a time ever that I did that and I wasn't, flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so often.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when it became, when that's at the end of that, at sort of coming up to the 10 years, when it did shift a little bit and it was becoming a bit robotic, I guess, because I knew where the magic moments were in the songs and the show and all of that. And Mr. Percival was a character. Like I did create a character to be in because I just felt like I wanted to be able to, it was obviously me doing it, but I did want to step into a place to do it too, because I felt like I could then do what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah. Because
singing jazz for all that time and being in that music that I love, and I was quite serious about getting very good at singing that genre well, to the best of my ability, and living in this island where it's not really our music in a certain sense as a singer. Because a lot of the music when you first start singing jazz is from America. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why Vince Jones was always been such a light for me in that way, because to me he felt like somebody that really created an Australian vocal jazz genre. Yeah,
big time.
There's many other vocalists as well, but he for me was the one that really expanded that.
Right.
But because he was doing that, I was interested in exploring something else, really, and that's when the looping really kicked in. And I can make it my own.
Yes.
As well in that too.
Yeah.
I couldn't find that in singing standards and writing songs in the jazz genre. I couldn't find at that time. I couldn't find that.
Yeah.
And so the looping really created that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that? Where'd you get the idea from?
There are two luminaries in Australia who had pedals. One's called Mal Webb, and another is Lindsay Pollock. They were two cats that were on the scene that were doing it, and I would see them at festivals. And it was starting to, if we're talking about looping in the history of it, obviously Brian Eno and lots of producers were using loops. McCartney is actually on lots of records under other names as like a looping creator.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but they would do it with tape back in the day and create these loops within the tunes. You can hear it in lots of music from the 60s and the 70s. So as far as it becoming like a pedal, but I can tell you the actual moment that started for me was I had the most good fortune to meet Alan Dean, this beautiful singing teacher in Sydney, when I was about 12, and he was recommended to my parents by by a lady that, you know, they trusted. And she said, oh, you really need to get Darren to meet Alan Dean, you know, they'll hit it off and he'll be great. He'll be a great teacher for him. And she was right, you know. And we were connected from when I was 12 right up until when he passed in his early 90s. And I sang at his memorial the very first song that I sang for him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
It was really beautiful, yeah. Yeah, Sunny Side of the Street, I sang for him at my first ever lesson.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was great actually, and that really kicked off that whole experience. You know, learning from him and becoming friends with him. But we sat down one day. I'd stopped having formal lessons with him, but we were still very close, and I'd hang out with him in his house. And he said, "I want to show you this Bella Fleck video." You know, he said, "This guy's amazing." He said, "But there's something in this that I just want you to see." And I was like, "Oh, what is it?" You know. And Victor Wooten was playing bass in the band, and at one point on the video, Victor's playing, and then the video, it was a VHS too. It was the era I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on YouTube. You know, that wasn't invented yet. You know what I mean? Like I used to sit down and watch VHS, you know, back in the day. And as we all did. And anyway, so I'm sitting there and Victor's playing. And then at one moment, everybody, including Bella, walked off stage. And Victor's just playing, you know. And then he put down this bass line. And then he sort of took his hands off the bass and it was still playing. And then he started soloing over the top of what you could hear. So he'd created a loop somehow in some machine, you know, that he had on stage or in the wings. And then he added some chords, like some other notes, and that created the harmony. And then he sort of hit the bass to create the percussion. Like, I mean, it's so common now as people are watching this, they're going, oh yeah, we know all about that because, you know, go into any pub or hear any guitar player that has a pedal board with them and they'll have a loop pedal, you know, like it's mainstream now, you know what I mean? But in that moment, I had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah, wow.
And Alan was sitting there smiling and thinking, oh, he had a feeling that I was going to get a buzz from this, you know. And so with quite a lot of investigation and at a time when we didn't have the internet as, you know, hardwired as it is, I found out that he was using this specific box, you know. It was actually just like a delay pedal, but not a pedal yet, like in a rack mounted, you know, piece of machinery. And I found out what it was, and I was able to buy one. And it happened pretty quickly. And so I started messing around with my voice with that machine.
Right.
And so that's how that got kicked off.
Yeah, okay.
So thanks to Alan and Victor Wooten and that experience and that buying that machine, that was when I first was able to go, oh, I can do this.
There's something here.
I can sing into this and I can hear it back and I can work out how I can do this. And I made a promise to myself when I did actually find the Akai head rush pedal, which are the ones that I've used forever. You know. Tried out a whole lot of other ones. That just works for me, you know. When I did acquire that and realized that that was going to be my tool, I guess, I sat with it for 10 months before I even did a gig. Because I worked out, and I say this to people that want to hang out with me, and because sometimes people want to check out looping, and they're really serious about, you know, it either getting more fluid for them, or the first time they've ever checked it out, and you know, they reach out and we connect, you know. And one thing that I really do share straight away, which came to me very clearly, and I'm so grateful that it did, was that you have to put the music into the pedal.
Okay.
When you press play, nothing's there. So as soon as you plug that in and you plug a microphone into it, it's an amplifier of what you don't know.
Yeah.
As much as it's an amplifier of where you're at.
Yeah.
With what you do know.
Yeah.
You know. And so, man, there was some stuff I had to work on.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I was everything. You know, I'm the groove. I'm the harmonic structure of the song.
Yeah.
How's my pitch?
Yeah.
Where's my intonation at?
Yeah.
Like, so straight away I'm thinking, well, I've got to work on this stuff now.
Yeah.
If this is going to work for me, you know, so, and I think I mentioned this to you the last couple of days about a different topic, but it's definitely relevant here, is that I feel like I became a microscope and a telescope at the same time, you know, like, and as strange as that sounds, that's how it felt. I just had to be so inside what I was doing, but then singing from my place in the universe simultaneously, you know? Yeah. And ultimately the whole experience in talking about it, and you can hear how excited I'm getting about talking about it, because I do every time, is that it was fun.
Yeah.
It
looks fun.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and it still is fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was a big attraction for me. That it was going to be fun.
Yeah. I'm going to draw upon my knowledge of you with this question. So, grew up in Chatswood.
Yeah, Parramatta first.
Okay.
In Sydney, out in the west. When it was the west, it's sort of now the centre of Sydney. When it was out in the western suburbs. And then Mexico, and then into Chatswood to start high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neither parent is musical.
No, but Mum has a beautiful voice, and her dad, my grandfather, was in the policeman's choir.
Okay.
And my mum's mum, my grandma, her family were in bands. I think there was like some clarinet and various sort of wind instruments and stuff happening along there because they were from Liverpool in England.
Yep.
And nothing that I've found out on my dad's side.
Okay.
But my dad loves music, and I think wanted to be able to play like the banjo and the guitar. And, so he has a love for music, and it was definitely always on and around my whole life.
Yeah. So how did you find your way into singing as what was it? What had you been doing prior to 12 years old that led to someone saying, "Oh, this is the singing teacher for Darren"?
Yeah, wow.
How did you find your way into that world?
I would say Countdown.
Really?
Yeah. Sunday nights.
Wow.
ABC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything to me.
Yeah.
As a 5-year-old sitting in Parramatta and really not kind of being allowed to watch television, I don't think. I can't remember watching really anything else. But because I was just drawn to what those people were doing and how it made me feel. A combination of that and all of those bands. I can't really single anybody out, really, because it was all just so powerful to me. Was when I heard Bon Scott sing. And I really pleaded with my nana to lend me a few more dollars on top of my, pocket money that we called it back then, so that I could buy my first single. And I bought TNT. I've still got it, the 45 of it.
Really?
And I wore that thing out. There was just something about him. I mean, I love that band. I love, obviously, all the other members of that band, the original members. But there's just something about him. I was gone as soon as I saw him, but I could also just listen to it and be moved. And I still am. Yeah. I often answer that question. I always answer that question by saying his name because it's true.
Yeah.
And it just got me. And then that was it, And I could never, I don't sing in his register. I don't sing in all those rock guys' register. So I couldn't really ever go down that path, But I was certainly moved by the energy from it. Yeah. And then from there, I think that began that was the ignition of the show off, I reckon.
Yeah.
That was when I really started to put on the concerts for the neighbours and the family and anyone that visited, and just I was doing my version of all of those people off Countdown, and it was like watch me do this. I mean, I don't really know what I was doing playing the ukulele. It was probably out of tune, but just emulating in any way I could that I was doing that, and loving it. And I think I could always sing in tune. I always had a voice, and loved it. So was working on it because I was doing it all the time. And as kids do, but it got quite serious. I was pretty into it.
Fast.
Oh yeah,
it got serious fast.
It's the feeling of it.
Yeah.
For me, it was always about how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And that's a reason why I still do it today. I mean, I have said to people that I work with that singing saved my life. I think that happened later, but I think I got a pretty clear awareness of the fact that it was really good for me to do very early on. Because there wasn't anything else that I did in life that made me feel like that. Riding my bike really fast, and I wasn't super into sport, but I mean, I was a part of it. But there wasn't really anything I could do that made me feel that good. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm interested, so you found your voice as younger than 12, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 and 6.
And there was something about that experience that made you feel enjoyment and bliss, but there was also, I'm putting words in your mouth, so let me know if I've got this
they're
wrong.
all there. Yeah, definitely bliss.
But there was this understanding or knowledge that what was coming out was pleasing to not just you, but
Yeah, that's true.
other people as well.
Yeah, well, it changed the environment.
Yeah.
When I did it, it made people happy.
When you could, exactly, that's where I was going with that.
That's what happened, yeah.
Is that recognition, oh, I can do something that gets a reaction out of people.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah.
And you and I have spoken about this. You hear, strangely, comedians talk about this. They're the people I've heard talk about it the most, and some actors, is that when you're growing up in an environment where there's a lot of people drinking and perhaps there's some behavior that is, inappropriate from the point of view of how some people are reacting, in their experience, which I was around, as a young kid and certainly in my teenage years, to stop that or to bring like a change in the conversations or, and in the space. I worked out that I could impersonate somebody. I could tie my shirt up like Peter Allen and sing When My Baby Goes to Rio, and everyone would laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
And, and Jim Carrey, somebody that, and Ron Williams, both, I've heard them speak about that they worked out pretty early on that they were able to change situations where they were feeling uncomfortable as a kid with this gift.
Yeah.
That they had, and I've always related to that. I really feel as though it came out of that as well.
Yeah.
I loved it, but then I figured out other people did as well.
Yeah.
And then that might take some of the tension out of the room.
Yeah.
And I mean, as a young person, that's like quite a big thing to feel, I think, or to figure out. But perhaps it happened naturally. I don't really remember clearly, but I know it was happening.
Yeah.
And then I think definitely something that's very important to share here is that when we moved to Mexico, back when I was about, I think I was like 8.5, because of how like the remote nature of the environments where we were, like down in the south and then up in the north, not so much when we're in Mexico City, but when we're in those two really isolated places, there was no television or there wasn't the internet. I remember I used to go to my dad sometimes to the office and he would send a telex back to Australia, which was this enormous machine that they would somehow get messages through, and it would like make this huge noise and vibration. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sending a message back to Australia." But it seemed like such a strange thing they did, but that's how people did.
Yeah.
The instant communication was through this like giant machine,
Yeah.
that he would use. Like, what a time,
Yeah.
But yeah, as much as there was that technology, there wasn't television or really anything where we were living on site, at those mines. And the power of play was my world back then. That was it, and I had to make everything up. And I've said this before many times, but a stick then would be a microphone stand or a guitar or a sword or a wand or
big time,
all of the things, any stick actually.
Yeah.
And as ridiculous as that sounds, I can just see him just in just so much play.
Yeah.
And just really being really creative. And I was homeschooled, obviously, then. And we didn't call it then. We didn't call it that back then, I should say. It was called correspondence, and you sent little cassette tapes where you'd record your lessons.
Really?
Yeah, and Dave Grohl actually talks about how he had 2 cassette players in his room when he was young, and that's how he started to make up and experiment with music and recording himself. And he'd like record the drums on one and then play that and play the guitar on the other. And he was making his own backing tracks with these 2 cassette players. And I actually, coincidentally, was doing that as well. And because I started to make my tapes back to my teachers back in Australia quite involved because I was really enjoying the process of doing that.
Yeah.
So I think the combination of that, the isolation and the play and how great my mum was as a teacher at that time, man, so fun. Yeah. And just so much freedom in what I was able to do in those environments, Yeah, that really helped. When I was looping, there were many times when I was reminded on stage of delving back into the time in Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Can tell you that I had a direct, that was source. As much as I was connected to source,
Yeah.
I was connected to my own source of that play. I could really, felt I returned home to that because high school and trying to find my way and learning how to be a musician sometimes wasn't anywhere near as enjoyable as that time. You know, it got hard then for me, like difficult for me then.
Was there a moment, do you remember a moment where you thought, yeah, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I mean, it may have been singing Animal Crackers into a hula hoop at my mum's. I mean, I think they called it jazzercise back then, but it was probably dancing lessons. But they had a concert at the end of the year, and I remember there's a photo of her and I'm wearing a bow tie, and I remember that was the first ever gig that I did, and I sang Animal Crackers into like a hula hoop, pretending I'm looking into a bowl, I guess. And I can just remember the sound of people clapping and how it felt to be going on stage and doing that. So yeah,
And that was it.
I only remember it from the photo, like we do with lots of things.
Yeah.
But I have recollection of feeling pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
So I must have been about 5 when that happened. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And what happens there? So you go and get lessons of, what was his name? Alan?
Yeah. So that was when we came back from Mexico. So I think the amount of times that I would get up with all of the musicians in Mexico at restaurants and on site, and whenever there was anything happening, I was just like, they had to hold me back from wanting to jump up and get involved.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So they obviously noticed that. Mum enrolled me into a performing arts school in Sydney pretty much as soon as we got back.
Yep.
And the lessons with Alan probably started about a year after that. So yeah. And I was 6 foot by the time I was 13. So my life dream of perhaps becoming Gene Kelly, who was a big influence of mine when I was a kid. I used to love sitting with my nana and watching those old movies with Sinatra and, you know, all those cats. But Gene just had this suave nature about the way that he moved. And I just thought, oh yeah, I'm going to be able to do that. I'm going to dance and sing and I'm going to be that. That's going to be me, you know. When I'm older, you know, I'll be doing that. I'll be doing musicals and I'll be like, I'm going to do that, you know. But as soon as I started dancing and moving in that way, it didn't come naturally to me. And that was actually a bit tricky, really, because I think I'd invested a lot of dreaming into the fact that was going to happen. And then as I got older and was going to auditions for musicals that I felt that I just really wanted to be a part of.
Yeah.
If I look back at that, I think it was actually also just the consistency of being a part of something too with the work. You know, like just that idea of doing 8 shows a week and touring around with the show and being a part of this community and what, you know, those folks always seem to just be having such a great time. And I went for an audition for every musical that came out to Australia over 10 years and I didn't get one part.
Wow.
And I always felt like it was the universe going, you're not meant to do this.
Yeah.
I went, yeah, but I'm just going to go and do this one.
Yeah.
I'll go to this audition, or, you know, just sitting in the casting ages is just like really excited. Okay, this is going to be the one, you know, and it never happened. Yeah, it's
So
funny when
interesting.
life does that, you know, because it doesn't necessarily have to be like a moment with one situation that happened. I think that my determination through that and my focus of like, no, this is my purpose. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give up. I'm going to just do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then at some point, I especially most likely have to mention that when James Morrison brought his big band to Chatswood High School back in about 87, and I heard a big band for the first time in real time, that moved me to my core.
Yeah.
Equally as much as hearing Bon Scott when I'm 5. Just hearing that sound, man, and a big band like swinging like that, I was just like, what is this? And so I think that helped me jump out of that thing of that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that was really when the jazz light went on, you know. And so that was pretty good timing as well, you know. And as I said before, naturally, you know, in it came, out I went. Just, yeah. Could even go as far as to say that I was already being like water.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it yet. You know what I mean?
And so what you're kind of doing regular gigs as a teenager?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was working, yeah. I was doing weddings. I had this offering that we sold to friends and family, but other people that were at the weddings that we didn't know would book me and I'd maybe sing at the ceremony. I had a clavinova, like when I was about 13, because I had piano lessons, and I could make my own backing tracks. Like I'm sure they weren't great, but I could do it, you know. And so I would make these backing tracks to accompany myself, and I'd maybe sing at the ceremony, and then I'd go to the reception and I'd sing the bridal waltz, and then I'd DJ the party, and I did that all through high school. Yeah, it was great actually. I'm really grateful to my parents that I was allowed to do that. Because it kind of just happened naturally. I sang at one wedding and then I got another one, and then I just kept sort of doing it through.
Yeah.
And obviously I continued doing that for 20 years after I left school. You know, I had a flourishing business there in Sydney and around providing music for weddings, you know, essentially, and really enjoyed it up until a certain point. Again, you know, it was another thing of like, I've got to stop doing these now. But yeah, certainly enjoyed it as I went along in that. But yeah, all through high school, not only with my involvement with the school band. So the day after James was at the school with the band, I went to the music teacher and said, if I get some arrangements written for the stage band, could I sing with the band? And so I went straight to Alan Dean and said, can we organise for me to get some arrangements? He said, of course, you know, because he was an arranger. So he wrote out all these tunes for me. And so within a couple of weeks, I was singing with my stage band. And then we did gigs.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah.
Busy time.
Yeah.
Really busy.
And I would imagine maybe as you got older, the musicians in the bands were all older than you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, very much.
You know, so that would have shaped you in terms of your worldview and hanging around with these guys that
totally.
and girls that have been doing this for a long time.
A kid in an adult world. You know? Very exciting.
Yeah, that must have been wild.
It was wild. Yeah. And as I said, really lucky that they were all the great players.
Yeah.
I remember that my mum, and I begged her to do this for me, but I asked her in this one season, maybe in year 10, I said, could you write me a note so that I don't have to go to sport on a Thursday afternoon? Because I'd worked out that Julian Lee, one of the most beautiful piano players from America that actually was living in Sydney, had moved there. He would play solo piano on the first floor of the Regent Hotel down in the Rocks on a Thursday afternoon for like a couple of hours. And I'd get the train from Chatswood into the Circular Quay, and I'd walk there and I'd just sit and listen to him play. And he's sight impaired, so he never knew I was there. And I never spoke to him, but I just was fascinated by the way he played the piano. And so I'd do that, and then I'd go to the art gallery. And that was my Thursday afternoon.
Beautiful.
Yeah, every Thursday for months I did that.
How old were you?
I reckon I was 16.
Okay. Yeah, most 16-year-olds aren't doing that.
No, but I followed what moved me.
Yeah.
And then after school, when I finished there, John Foreman and I became really good mates. And for the first year out of school, before he moved to Melbourne and did Good Morning Australia with Bert Newton, so that was like his first gig out of the con. He went down there and did that show, and then obviously, you know, the rest is history with everything that he's achieved. But I remember we had a year of working together, doing lots of gigs together, which was so enjoyable. He remains one of my, you know, dearest mates. Yeah. We had so much fun together, and so that was a great time. But I can remember that in there, I mean, there was just so much going on. It was just incredible. It was so busy because there was so much work, you know. And Alan got me into doing sessions, so I was singing on jingles at 15, you know, and talk about being put into hanging around with adults and the older generation in that.
And getting cash too when kids around you probably don't have, you know, they're working at Charcoal Chicken.
Yeah, I was working. Yeah. I was. It was very lucky to be in the right place at the right time.
Very interesting way to grow up.
It was. It really was. I'm very grateful for it. I really am. You know, it was. And I think that I was thrown in to the deep end because obviously people believed that it was going to be good for me, and they, you know, saw that I was going to be able to hold my own. You know, I mean, I learned a lot very quickly. I don't read music either, so I think my ears got bigger. Yeah, because I really had to pick up stuff because a lot of people would be reading, and I just had to learn stuff on the fly. I've just never been able to work out how to get that to happen for me. I have tried. And I know there are ways to be able to do it. They haven't worked for me yet. You know, I'm still actually trying to work out how to sight read music well. You know, it's just not my thing. But yeah, that was pretty heavy there some days when you're trying to work out how something goes. And back then we were working to tape. There weren't any computers in the studio. Not yet, you know. One or two around, but not certainly being used in the way that they are now. So you really had to be on you know, which was so good to be in that environment young.
Yeah.
And then that helped me, you know, I mean, what we're talking about, I think, is a great foundation, you know, really solid foundation for the rest of it, you know. So I've always stood on that really solid foundation, working hard, and doing my best to be professional and
Getting good at your craft.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a great singer. That I worked that out. I think I worked that out before I worked out, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I think what came to me was, I want to be a great singer. Like, how can I do that?
Yeah.
You know, and I already had an understanding that it was going to take a long time.
Yeah.
I wasn't in a hurry. You know, as much as I am at times really excited to get things done, I'm very patient.
Yeah.
And especially with myself,
Yeah.
I think I really give myself time to learn things in a way that really to help me, especially with music, you know, and I'm okay to sit in things. I can notice sometimes the frustration of people around when they'd like to move on and be out of where we are. And I do enjoy to stay in the things so that I can really have an understanding of them and they really be a part of me and feel natural,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Someone said to me once, effortlessness takes preparation.
Oh, yeah.
And that's another little gem. Isn't it funny how these little things people say are quite short? You know, they're not like big, long paragraphs.
Yeah.
Someone dropped that bomb on me once and I just was like, oh, that is so good.
Yeah.
I really thanked him very seriously for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
Because that just resonates with me now, you know. So, yeah, I was busy, man. But I'm super grateful for it.
What was I mean, did you have as a, teenager or a young man, did you have a vision for what you wanted that career to look like or be? Or were you just so in the moment that you didn't really think, I want to do this and I want to play with these guys and I want to have this record recorded? And was there anything like that at the time going on for you?
Yeah, there was most likely towards the end of high school. I think when Farnham had his, comeback, because he'd had such a huge career up until, before Whispering Jack came out.
Yeah.
I think when that landed, because I was such a fan of his for so long prior to that release, I think once I started going to see him in concert, I mean, I would spend that money that I was making, by the way, that we just discussed, on clothes and on going to see bands.
Right.
Like concerts. Entertainment Centre had been built. Anytime something was on, I was watching.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
Front and centre, just absorbing.
Yeah.
Out at night. Mum used to pick me up, from the station at all hours, because sometimes I'd go and sit outside venues in Sydney because I wasn't allowed in just to hear bands. You know, I did that many times. But when I could pay and go and see a concert, I was there. So, but I think when Farnham started touring, especially on that first tour and then Age of Reason and all those, that was really where my imaginings definitely shifted to wanting to be playing big rooms and having albums and writing and that really started to happen. And because I started working with James and touring with him, and we worked together for about 10 years. So that was all through my 20s. Was really, I call it like Morrison University. He was really where I didn't get into the con, so I learned from him.
Yeah.
And everyone that I met through him. So being on the road, standing next to him every night for 10 years was really so valuable for me. Really shaped me in many, many ways. But that was still there, that thing of like, I'm going to get to do this with my music and that will happen. And yeah. And I didn't, if I think back now as I'm sitting here with you, I didn't even think about the fact that the whole thing of wanting to be in musicals hadn't happened. That then I would go into some other dreaming and go, oh no, well that won't happen. That never came into my thought. It was just, oh no, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that both of those things haven't happened.
Yeah.
When I look back at that now, they didn't. And that's the biggest venues I've played and the biggest shows that I've done and the biggest recordings that I've been on have been with other people and other people's projects. So essentially I have done it, but just not under my own name.
Yeah. That's interesting.
It is interesting.
If you could, I don't know, in an alternative universe, if you could sneak up to like a 16 or 17-year-old Darren that's sitting outside a club or a venue because he can't get in because he's too young, and whisper something in his ear, like you offer him some advice from your current self.
Yeah.
Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. Definitely do tech drawing in year 11 and 12 and become an architect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really go into that place of how architecture and design was such a passion of mine, and art and all of those other things I was so interested in them. So
Really?
naturally flourishing in creating buildings and drawing and all of that. And I would say to him, check out architecture.
Instead of music, or as well as?
No, instead of.
Really?
Yeah, really.
And
I've been
that
thinking
speaks-
about this in the last couple of years a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
You know, yesterday when we were chatting
I
about...
laughed because I thought you were joking.
No, I'm serious. Yeah, I mean it. You know, we were talking yesterday about the yacht traveling in a direction, and then if it just goes off course by 1 degree,
Yes.
you don't notice it straight away, but you'll notice it when it gets to its destination, how far away it is from that other yacht. You know, we chatted about that the last couple of days.
Yeah.
You know? I think I was... I even think that I was thinking about it back then. I don't need me to go back to 16 or 17-year-old me to say that.
That's so interesting.
It'd almost be like I would just be saying to him, hey, listen to that voice. I wouldn't be telling him something he didn't know. I'd be going, you know, that voice that you can hear about doing something else, and it's that, do it.
Yeah, that's really
Because there's a lot of, you know, stunning architects that are great guitar players.
Yeah.
There actually are.
Yeah.
And there's some great architects who probably sing well.
Yeah.
And are great at karaoke. You know, I feel, as much as I feel really grateful for everything that I have done and who I am and where I've been, and, you know, all the relationships with all the different, like those instant partnerships we spoke about, and the experiences and the creation and all of that is in this story, that is my journey, and really grateful for it. At the same time, throughout all of that, I really feel this sense of that maybe I was meant to be doing something else. You know?
Wow.
And so that's what I say to you in relation to, there hasn't been like, I mean, there have been challenges and there have been dark days, the big things that I've had to get through and am still going through. I look at more that seam of, you know, that it's a sense of that, am I meant to be doing something else? Like, is that why sometimes things don't work out? Like, is that why things are so difficult some weeks?
Yeah.
And so challenging? And I'm like there, and even not so much in the comparison of this, it's going to sound like that, but that's not where it's coming from, is that other people at times seem to be doing things and it's really easeful that's happening for them. Other people are working or, you know, fulfilling their dreams and all that's happening. And I'm felt like, I said this to someone a little while ago, and I've probably shared this a couple of times, people, but felt like when I was a kid and I was on my boogie board in the ocean, and the guys were always like faster and stronger and better, even though I'm tall, just a bit unco, they would be ahead of me and I'd be going, oh, hey, wait up. And I'd be paddling sort of at the back, or even on my bike, or like that sensation of like, hey, wait up, as a kid, as an adult, is a lot more challenging to experience, you know? And I put that down to more that I have had a sense of that maybe I'm meant to be doing something else.
Fascinating.
And I think it's that. I think it's actually still creativity and still building things and producing things, and there's still all the elements of music involved in design and especially architecture, you know, with the rhythm and the structure and formation and connected to source and all that, you know, like, so I'm not sure, but I like it. I like that maybe he, in another dimension, is, you know, like a well-known, like beloved architect who's doing great things in the world, building beautiful buildings and that people can live in or, you know, experience in or.
So interesting.
Yeah. It's pretty clear. It's coming in, it comes in very clearly. That.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. It's cool. It's kind of like being in two worlds, but I don't know that other world, but I feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so good that you can acknowledge that too, you know, because I think, you know, there'd be, I don't know, maybe there are some purists out there that, you know, but Darren's a musician.
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
totally.
And that's what he does, and he's really good at that, and
Yeah.
that's what he should be doing, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
We kind of attach to these identities, and the willingness, particularly when the identity that you've built for yourself is, you know, there's a profile there that people are aware of, you know, makes it even harder to actually say a thing like that is, you know, maybe I was going to be better at that, or not necessarily better, but maybe I could have been really good at that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And still done the thing.
I think so also. I really do. And I think that then music and songwriting and singing and all of that would have taken on a whole other place in my journey. You know, and I wouldn't have had all of the experiences that I've had in relation to the challenges of it because it's all I do, because I'd be doing it for fun and it'd be like my hobby. You know, when I stopped working in 2017, I made a conscious decision at a certain point to say no. I'd never said no.
To gigs?
To anything.
Okay.
Yeah. I just was yes man. You know, I just was, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Great. Love it. Like, sure. Even if I maybe couldn't do it, I'd be like, well, no, I'll work it out.
Yeah.
You know, and so, yeah, just rarely said no, unless there was something else on and I couldn't make it, you know. But yeah, it was totally up for whatever came in because I felt like that's what I was meant to do. You know, like you don't say no, it's work. It's like, yeah, got to fit that in and, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, at a certain point I decided to say no. And I stopped working with a lot of things that I was doing. And yeah, it was a big change. And it felt really good and really uncomfortable at the same time.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Because in that period, I was what I refer to as kind of going out and providing music for speaking or music for talking, I called it.
Yeah.
Where you're at an event or a dinner or something like that. And you've got a great band of really great musicians and your job that night is really just to play music that's happening that no one's listening to. You know, and I mean, I did that for 25 years and it was fine because I was actually at the time when I first started doing it, I used it as an opportunity to learn songs. So whenever I went to those, I'd go, oh, well, I'll do these 10 tunes tonight. And then as a singer, I would go to some of those gigs and go, okay, tonight I'll work on my breathing. Tonight I'll make sure that I'm really like my diction's my focus and I'll really, you know, I'll work on the pocket or I'll work on this. And I did that diligently, like on those jobs. And for a long time, I was practicing in a sense in the work.
Yeah.
So I was cool with that.
Yeah.
Then at a certain point, it was like, I feel uncomfortable doing this, you know, and you get, as your career goes on, you start to get paid well for things like that. And no one can really understand why you'd be uncomfortable because you're getting lots of work. But when you're in it and you're going, and it's actually not, I don't want this to be misunderstood. It's not because they're not listening. It's just that in some of those environments, sometimes I don't think there should be live music. You know, that's what I started to realize was that I think that they should just have music coming through the speakers in the roof here because why are we here?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that this is an appropriate environment for this to be happening.
Was there
and
anything...
I don't know if I want to be the person that's offering this in this environment on this night, irrespective of what I'm being paid. You know, I'd like this to stop now. And so I stopped it, you know, and then I started working on other things.
Yeah. Do you think there was anything about that whereby maybe there was this intrinsic knowledge that you weren't growing by doing that, and or you know, we've gone as far as we can in this little phase of our career, and I'm not getting the resonance back that I used to as a 7-year-old performing in front of the neighbours. Was there? Do you think that was part of it? This awareness that, you know, and maybe it was a subconscious awareness that was, okay, it's time to change this up.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, it really was that. It was the fulfillment wasn't there, you know, and yeah, it was really difficult actually, because as you said before, it was like my identity to be doing that, you know, and I was always able to make things. I mean, people relied when they booked me to go, I will get you to come and do that because you'll make it great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm easy to work with. So it would like, give me a buzz and I'll go, yeah, that's fine. We'll get something together for that. That's going to be awesome. No problem. You know, low footprint, you know, was always my way of operating with clients and with people was that just make it fun and go, yeah, sure, we can get all that to happen. And, you know, and I like working that way. I think it's important. I don't want to be a burden on anyone, you know, especially with what I offer, you know. I really want to, and I think that's part of the professionalism, you know, is to make it easeful for people when they book you, you know. It wasn't about any of that. It was just about how I felt, coming back to how it made me feel, you know. And when I sing, it's really important to me. So I was singing and I wasn't feeling good, and that hadn't happened before, and so I needed that to stop, you know. So and I did it gradually, but then So I guess in a sense, and I have said this before, that when COVID hit and none of us could work, it wasn't as jarring for me actually, because I'd already stopped working.
Yeah.
I was very impacted by COVID, and in other ways, but not as far as that was happening, because I hadn't really worked through 2018 and 19. I really stopped, and that's when I was focusing on bringing people together to sing. So that was when, because I'd always done that work, and that kind of felt like was in the background a lot, even though I really loved doing it. So that was when I really started working on creating these vocal gatherings for people in business and also in the community. And I sat down one day and thought, I need to look at what I'm doing here and my purpose. And I came up with I think I read it somewhere, someone said create like a stovetop. And if you only have 4 hot plates, you know, and you're going to cook something, what are they? And I'm sure you've heard, you know, analogies like that as well. And so I went, oh, well, it's easy there. Art, music, corporate, community. And that's just what I put on a piece of paper on the wall one time. I just said, well, the corporate part of it, working in that field, you know, doing those sorts of gigs, and in that, well, I'll just, you know, pause on that for a little while now, and I'll start drawing a bit more, and I'll start writing music again, and I'll work in community. And that's what I did. Yeah, it was conscious. Yeah, one just stopped flowing like it did, and the others then got enhanced.
Yeah.
And it was really helpful. And I felt better then because I had something to do. You know, I had somewhere to go, you know. So it was great.
How did I've never asked you this, how did the voice come about for you? How did the idea come to you?
I was watching the American series, and I liked having watched all those shows over the years, you know, like the various shows, the variety shows and the singing shows and all that, and kind of being involved a little bit in the periphery with some of the shows here in Australia with the recording, singing backing vocals on things, or helping a few people that were maybe going on some of the earlier other shows, series of those other shows. So I started watching the American series of it, and I just really liked for the first time ever, it was just about the singing, and then they turned around, and the reveal, it sort of seemed funny to me actually. Yeah, they would spin around. I was like, but I actually enjoyed it. I thought, finally, there's no age limit, and it is really about the singing and the tone and the intention and all that, which I'm all about. And also, one of the reasons that I really liked it was because in some of those other shows, like more of the variety sort of talent shows, I think it would be sort of peculiar for me particularly to go on one of them and then be up against like a 7-year-old juggler or something.
Yeah.
And that's just personal. I was just sort of a bit like, you're going to go against a dance troupe of 50 people and then a juggler and then you, and it's sort of like, well, where do I fit in that? I just never felt called to be a part of any of that really ever. I mean, I was in Talent Quest when I was a kid, but that was a bit different, I was a kid. Yeah. Now I'm 40 and I'm thinking, well, I need a change at 40. That was a big time for me when I was thinking like, I need something to happen now. Like I've done looping for 10 years. Ed Sheeran's just about to fill stadiums with a looping pedal, and there's all these looping artists doing stuff. And so that's obviously changed in the last decade since I've been doing it. Yeah. Where's my place in that, in the world of looping, and how's it going? And, I was really busy with it. Mr. Percival was working a lot, made a couple of albums. And so, but there it came, as you said at the start of this, there it was. It was like, I need to do something. Like, what's it gonna be now? And so I was at my buddy James Valentine's birthday party, and his wife had invited me to sing Happy Birthday and bring the cake out. There was heaps of singers there, and we all sang together. But I just, brought the cake out. We were really good mates, and it was a fun night. And the executive producer of The Voice Australia, Julie Ward, is a really dear friend of mine and had been for many years. She was there. And we just bumped into each other and we were chatting away. And, I know her daughters. I'd helped them with their singing over the years. I know her husband, Jamie Rigg. He was the MD for Ricky May, amongst many other luminaries. And I used to sit outside the Donborough Supper Club at the Regent and see Jamie walking past when he'd go and work with Ricky May. And I'd listen through the door at Ricky May, another one of my great Australian musical heroes. Yeah, great teacher for me with singing and entertaining, and amazing charisma and energy. That guy, what a field of positivity he was, And so Jamie worked with him, so very connected with them and their family. And anyway, she leant over to me at the party and she goes, "Are you watching the American series of The Voice?" And I said, "Yeah, I am. I'm really enjoying it." She said, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Me too." She said, "I'm actually working on the Australian series, which kicks off next year, I said, "Oh, that's great." She said, "Oh, it'd be really cool to talk to you about it, And I said, "Oh, great." And straight away, and I've told her this many times, I thought she meant to work with the artists.
Right.
And be backstage and maybe be a vocal coach, not, at the front, but like out the back and helping, which I was doing at the time a lot. She knew I was, I'd been doing it for years, 20 years, longer. And so I left. I was, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And so a couple of days later, she rang and said, "Hey, I was serious about what I said the other night. I really want you to be a part of this." And I said, "Oh, what do you need me to do? Like, I love working with you. Let's go." And she said, "Well, I want you to be on the show." And I was like, "What do you mean, like on it?" She's like, "Yeah, we're asking professional singers to be a part of this series, and as they do, around the world, and come and be a part of it." And I was like, "Oh, there's no way I'm going to do that." She's like, "Well, think about it." And afterwards, I did, because that seed had been planted. And you listen to people's voices. She really meant what she said.
Yeah.
She was very inviting me to consider to be a part of the experience. And she meant it. And I trust her as well. She's a friend of mine. And so I thought about it, and it was an interesting few weeks thinking about what that would be like. I sat at a friend's piano and recorded a version of "Song for You" by Donny Hathaway, and just played the starting note of it, and then sang through the song, and then on the last note played the note. I do that. It's one of my practice techniques, I guess. Start a song and just check you're in tune with yourself. Come back to the key. I just did that as my audition tape. If I was going to send an audition tape, that's what I felt like. For me, I wanted it to be.
Okay.
It's just a fun thing to do, and sort of shows that you're in tune. So I recorded that and had it sort of in the can. Just to, you know what I mean. Like if I decided to do it, I was ready to go. A bit of preparation, I guess. And thought about it more, and we spoke a bit more about it, and then as I started to think about it more seriously, I was really keen to know who the coaches were.
Yeah.
Because for me at 40, I just thought, well, I'd like to use this experience now to work with somebody that
can help me.
Is going to help me, And I'd already said to you that I was looking to be invigorated, And so that had come out, I think by that time that had come out in the press. They'd started to announce they were going to do the show, and the station had announced that they'd bought the rights to it, and so it was all happening, and it was like, oh wow, okay, they're really going to put a lot behind this, in Australia, and all great people were coming to it to create it, to make it, amazing crew, and all the best people,
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think it was leaked or something happened that they'd announced who the coaches were, and then when I found out that Keith Urban was part of it, I just pressed send on my on my application, or on that audition piece.
Yeah, because you worked with Keith.
He was my coach. Yeah, he turned around for me, and I chose him.
Yeah.
And he'd been an inspiration to me for a really long time. When my high school big band we sold a lot of Lemingtons all through 1989, and did a lot of gigs and raised money to do a tour from San Diego to San Francisco over the January of 1990. That was the same month that he went to America.
Okay.
We're not too far apart in age, and came up through doing like talent quests and singing from a young age, and so there was there always felt like there was like a connection there, just even though we had never met, that we just had this connection through our journeys in a way. Different genre of music, but still really focused and really passionate about music and songwriting and so I felt connected to him in that way, as I had with lots of people, but particularly with him. And I think also just his as a man, actually.
Yeah.
Just felt really inspired by him.
Yeah, right.
As a person, as a human on a planet. And when I found that out, I thought, yeah, if that works out, this is going to be really good. And sent it off, and the rest is history, really. So, but it's it's the funny thing about, I think, that show in particular is, I'm not sure people, they might be now, but I'm not sure at the time how fully aware they were that it was a game. That's how I really looked at it. As much as it's a televised singing competition, if you come back a bit from it, in the perspective of it, it's a game, And I think that in a way, because the coaches essentially are, giving the people a song, they're mentoring them, and it is very helpful. And it was certainly, to me, the help that I got, through working with Keith. But, they're choosing certain songs, and it's strategic, because in that series, the public were voting for the artist.
Yeah.
And so, they're going to use their knowledge and skill of all that, with the particular people to, get the result. So yeah, once I think you're in the groove of the fact that you're a part of a game, and it's obviously on television. And I love television. I always have. I was on TV from when I was like 12. So, I started working at Channel 9 when I was 15. So I'd worked with them for a long time, on various shows. And I just always loved being in the studio, and I never had a problem with that, singing on TV. It was always fun for me. He actually asked me one time, he said, "Oh, how are you approaching this when you go out there, especially when it went live?" Because, the singing to the chairs was pretty nerve-wracking. And then the one where they do in the boxing ring was kind of just a bit weird. That sort of, like a bit of a funny sort of thing to do. But yeah, that ended up going well. But once it got live, I was in my element then.
Yeah.
And I said to him when he asked me that question, "How are you approaching, these Monday night lives?" And I said, "Oh, it's a gig for 1,000 people." Because essentially it was.
Yeah.
Because there's 1,000 people in the room.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were capturing it I just wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah.
I was just in the room, just working with all those people, because they were the audience there. I mean, there's an audience out there. You don't know who they are. And it actually turned out that there were millions of people.
Yeah.
And that was great. But it was to keep me grounded in the experience of what I had to do. I was just working to that room, really. Kept me safe, in the environment. And I knew it as well. I knew that. I didn't really know what it was like at that point in my career to sing live to millions of people. So if I'd thought about it, what was it going to do to me? Stay at home. Stay home, stay in where I am. And I think it helped a lot,
Was there anything negative about the experience?
Yeah, I mean, there was, but it was challenging. I don't think it was so much negative. Certainly not during the show itself in that 4 or 5 months, I didn't have any negative experiences through that time really at all. It was all very invigorating, and it was definitely challenging. And there was quite a lot at stake, Like I was pretty determined in it probably from the start that I wanted to be the last man standing in my team. So I got to, because you got to sing a duet with him or with your coach, and you got to sing an original tune if you were like writing. And I just felt as though that I was going to do that at the point in my career that for me, that was my own personal goal within that experience. So despite what a lot of people have said, I wasn't actually thinking about having my name called out at the end. My own goal within it was to just be the last person standing on his team. So I got to do those things with him and have that experience for myself. There's this great moment actually on the very last show, and we do the duet, and this beautiful song called Without You. And I think he chose actually for us to just do it with him playing the guitar and us do it without the band. So it was really intimate. It was such a great experience. And at the very end of it, we finish, and I don't wear them very regularly, but on that show I had to wear in-ears for the monitoring. And you see me, and I flick them out and sort of throw them over my shoulders. And I clap my hands together and sort of go, "Wah," like this. And then he comes over and we hugged. But I still go back to that moment of, that was probably one of the most exhilarating experiences of my whole life. Like, other than the birth of my kids and some other magical things that I've just happened to be in the right place at the right time and experienced as, a person, that stands alone as one of the most exhilarating moments. Like, just all the things coming together and just like, here I was, like, I'd got to that point, and that was it, because that's what I was thinking about that I wanted to experience. It felt so good to have had that moment in my life. I was super grateful for it. And I mean, it got tricky after it, because it involves other entities. And still, after all these years, what is it? The agreement that you sign about sort of non-disparagement and confidentiality is still binding. So I can actually talk about any of the things that happened after that were tricky, that involved other companies and stuff. But yeah, it got a bit challenging in that way. But I had this beautiful 18 months after it where I got to tour, and I got shows that sold out straight away, which never happened to me before. And I had an album on sort of the ARIA, top 10. Debuted it, up in sort of number 3 or some part of the chart, that area of the chart. And so those things felt good at 40.
Yeah.
Things that I'd never experienced before. And at that point thought, oh, well, they won't ever happen now.
Yeah.
And I was fine with that. But when they did happen, I thought, oh, this feels nice,
Yeah.
It's that it did also get to happen as well, so that was good. But
we were talking about this the other night. I'd forgotten that was the first year.
Yeah, it was series 1.
It was series
2012.
1. Like, we're not talking about series 7 or 8. I think they're up to. Did you say they're up to 15 now in Australia?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was series 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just turned 40. I turned 40 in the January, and went in a couple of weeks after and filmed the first episode.
Yeah. Would that experience go, like, if you were to think about your top 3 most fulfilling musical moments in your career, would that be in there somewhere?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Singing "I Believe When I Fall in Love" by Stevie Wonder. There, I think it was the quarterfinal or something. Yeah, that's a big moment. Like, within the show itself, turned out to be, but yeah, definitely for me, I felt like that was a pretty big moment.
Yeah.
There are others. Definitely think it's funny, it could be that it's a little gig for 40 people in a jazz club in Sydney, and everyone's listening to your interpretation of a tune. Actually,
yeah. Yeah.
If I'm sit with you in it and really go where I feel that you're asking the question from, I think those moments are just as important as some things that everyone would go, oh, it'd be definitely that. Not always. Like a song, I'll tell you a little quick story that happened as a result. The things that happened that were positive after that were that people would reach out for me to be a part of special things that they wanted because they'd watched me all through the show. And it brought families together, like shows had done in the 80s and 90s. Families could watch it together. And so I got lots of inquiries about coming and doing parties and weddings and gigs. As much as all the corporate stuff that happened, there was lots of these private shows for people that had watched the show that would inquire and say, oh, hey, can you come and sing at my wedding ceremony and all those things.
Yeah.
So this couple in Sydney actually would come to this gig I used to do every Sunday night in Manly. I had this trio, and we used to do this gig, and it went off. I was there for like 2 years. It was a big night. It was such a great convergence of all different things. But yeah, people would come, and the first set was usually pretty chill, and people would listen, and the second set we would dance and go a bit nuts. It became a thing. And so this couple would come to that gig, but they didn't know each other, right? And then I would be releasing albums with Mr. Percival and things, and they both followed sort of me through that and had those albums. And then I was on The Voice, and when I came on the first night to do the first song, and they were then a couple, and they were watching it, I think they were engaged by then, they were like, oh my God, this guy, I used to go and see this guy in Manly. And she went, I used to go to Manly and see him. He's like, what do you mean? And so they had this connection where they knew me, but they both didn't know that they'd been in the same room coming to see me. Or that they had Mr. Percival records, whatever, right? Hilarious, really. So they were thinking when they were getting married later in that year, because they watched me on the show, and they were like really, I guess they were wondering if it was possible for me to be able to be there, And I don't think they reached out initially, and then they just decided to play, I believe, When You Fall in Love as the song when they signed the register in the church. And then they were going to do a song off the record for their bridal walls, So, and so beautiful. There was, that really warms my heart when I genuinely, when I hear stories like that.
Oh, yeah.
So their mum, the mum of the bride, reached out to me on the website. And I think she'd lost her husband. Like, I think he passed. Got sick, and I think he died. So there was a kind of tenderness around the way she wrote to me. And she said, "Oh, look, we've just been going through this experience, but my daughter's getting married, and she's a big fan of yours, and so is a boyfriend." She briefly told me sort of what I've just shared with you. And so I rang her, and I just said, "Oh, I just got your email." And she's like, "Sorry, who is this?" And I said, "Oh, it's Darren." She's like, "I didn't expect you were going to ring me." And I was like, "Yeah, no, this is great. Like, I'm sitting here in a hotel room, and I just got your email, and some other people might talk to you about how we're going to get this to happen, but I'm just here to say thanks for sharing. And this sounds like I'd love to be a part of this. I can't be actually at the ceremony, at the reception, but I can play at the ceremony because I've got a gig and I can't get out of that. But in the afternoon, I can come." She's like, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Absolutely no problem. Let's do this, And so we turn up to the church in Hunters Hill. It's actually on YouTube. It's hilarious. Someone filmed it. It's up there, so you can actually watch it. It's so beautiful. And so my piano player walked in and started playing the introduction, and they've walked around to go to sign the register. They'd planned, but they're thinking it's going to be the version from the album. And that doesn't start playing, and they can hear the piano starting to play, and you see on the video, the bride sort of looks up and sees the piano player. And then I walked into the mic and started singing it in real time. And they both, she kind of fell down and sort of went, "Oh my God," and he's just standing there going, "What's happening?" Because they had no idea. Wow. It was a surprise, And then, oh man, it still makes me feel this way because it's just the joy in that, just how moved they were by that had happened, And then afterwards, with the song, and they walked round, and I'm thinking, well, this is your wedding ceremony. It's not at all about me. They came over and they're like, "Hello," and I'm saying to them in the ear, I said, "Hey, you guys just got married. Go back to finish your ceremony," kind of thing, Yeah. And everybody was laughing, and the room was just filled with joy. And then she'd mentioned to me that they loved Somewhere Over the Rainbow as well, and they might actually play that in the ceremony too. And the piano player and I had spoken about that. So just as they were standing there, he started playing it, and I just sang it for them, impromptu, just standing there. It's so beautiful. And the photographer took some shots, and they went back and finished their ceremony, and that was that. But I ran into them a couple of times, just completely by coincidence around, and we've laughed about how beautiful it was. But so when I think about the show and that experience and all of the things that came out of me being open to do that, I didn't have any idea that those kinds of things were going to happen. And I'm really happy about that. I really do cherish a lot of that. There's many, many experiences like that happened in that couple of years, and that are still happening actually, every now and again. I mean, only last night I was doing a surprise 40th for someone and kind of walked out of the bushes to sing for her birthday. It's sort of funny, isn't it? Maybe that's become part of my thing and I just didn't know it. Just show up at these things, go start singing a song, So funny, isn't it? It's such a funny ride.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah. It's these moments.
Yeah, it really is.
These little moments that, that really count. I think
they really do.
It's not the accumulated result. I think it's just this willingness to kind of recognize, oh my God, this is one of those moments, and I'm going to cherish this and really squeeze the juice out of it. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's easy to dive in and talk about, like you said, where there are negative things and challenges and all that. And, there are every day. And it's really easy to sit in those and talk about them and be in them and all that. But for me, it's that you said something at the very start that keeps coming up. It's like when you said propel, use the word propel. It's like, that's one of my favorite words, and that all of these things propel me into the next chapter or the next day or the next experience. So I guess that I face the the joyfulness around an experience like that. And then only a year after, you know, losing that piano player to myeloma, and then him no longer being on earth, and me never being able to ever not only just work with him musically, but be able to pick up the phone and hear his voice, or that can never happen again. And so I think I would probably share with you in this experience that it's the loss of the people that I've connected with and that I love, and that I'm still here and they aren't. And I think for me, that is the most challenging thing that I face. Yeah, that is where I am right now. I just turned 53 and I still haven't come to a place where that's getting any easier. Yeah, not so much the things that happened to me, and there have been things that have happened along the way. It's sitting in this grief that is, really very challenging. Because I really miss them, you know. And I really, it's funny, you know, I think about this quite a bit, especially at the moment. I wish they were around to see who I am now.
Yeah. What would you say to him if you could write him an email in heaven?
Yeah. Yeah, just that I think that I would, definitely that I would probably be easier to be around, because I was just going through quite a lot at times through those relationships, not just with him and so many mates and, you know, girlfriends and people that I've worked with and people that I've connected with. And yeah, I was a bit of a handful there for a while in lots of ways, you know, and with lots of different ways, really. But yeah, I think I'd probably say, hey, I've calmed down quite a bit, and I think I would be, a bit easier to be around, and obviously share that I miss him and miss making music and all that stuff, you know. But yeah, I said this to a friend of mine the other day that I lost a mate at the end of 2023. Probably somebody that, you know, I know well, that I definitely was. Yeah, we were super connected, and he died, and I'm definitely still not through that. I really took about 6 months to not reach down to pick up the phone. Yeah, so I don't know. I think in accidents or something they call it survivor guilt, you know. But don't know whether many people talk about it when it happens just in friendships, you know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's what this is. I think this is just me going through the process of loss and all that. But it's certainly a thing of coming to terms with the fact that there isn't anything you can do about that. You know, there's nothing that I can do that. Now, some days I feel as though I'm going to come out of a meditation and be in that real peaceful state and feel as though that that they're still here in a way that comes up energetically. Yeah, I feel that, like maybe the life left in them went in everybody that they loved to some degree. I can't prove, but as a feeling, perhaps they're around in nature. Certainly makes sense to me sometimes.
Yeah.
Get a sense of that. I'll reach out to Dave and my mate Dave from Melbourne, and he might appear as like a little wren on a branch. If I'm there just sort of walking in nature, and I'll go, hey, I miss you, man. And then this little sort of wren will like appear on a branch or something. And I can't help but think that maybe, I don't know, it could just be a bird landing on a tree, or it could be, you know, some kind of connection that's happening because I'm in his vibration in that, you know.
Yeah. I think these moments, they propel us, as I said at the start of the conversation. I think they propel us, but I also think they prepare us for the next, you know, like even grief is a preparation of sorts. You know, it's the willingness to kind of sit with it. Like that's the work. Like rather than go on a bend or distract yourself or whatever that thing is that we have that impulse to do to push the pain away. Yeah. Like actually sitting in that and feeling all of the depth of that pain and missing someone and remembering someone. In many ways, I think that's it's kind of the best way you can honor them. Yeah. In many ways, is to really feel the grit of that feeling of loss. Yeah. But I also think that there's something that I don't know, there's some little alchemic process going on there that in some ways is kind of just shaping you and preparing you for the next thing. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. I feel like to answer your question from earlier a little more honestly, actually, is I think I would say to all of them, I got clean and sober. Yeah. I think that would be really met well by them all. That'd make some of them smile. Dude, how did you find your way to consciousness? The journey. How did you first start to become aware of the fact that there was the reality that you're not really Darren? Like it's a little play. It's a make-believe thing. You know, it's fun. Yeah. It's fun to be Darren. It's fun to be Luke, you know, but at some point in time, I can't remember when it was. It was a moment when I just thought, okay, this doesn't feel. There was this sort of dissonance between what I wanted for my life and what it was actually turning out to be. And I kind of figured out, okay. I actually think that there's more to this whole thing, you know, and I think that that's when I started to entertain the idea that, you know, maybe, and I, you know, even saying this on a podcast, there's a little bit of resistance, but maybe I'm not a human. Maybe I'm actually more soul or spirit than I am human being. And we're all lost in this kind of idea that, you know, I'm Wendy or I'm Susie and I got 3 kids and this is what I do and I work for this company and you know what I mean? It's all just part of the play, you know. Was there a moment for you when you kind of started to either intuitively or through some cataclysmic event in your life start to come to that understanding? Yeah, I'd say there was quite a few things that happened. It's not one thing. I can think in some of the childhood experiences that were pretty dark. In those moments, I would say that there was definitely where I most likely had to move out of the way to survive some of those experiences. So like a separation got created there, and then an awareness of that. Call it whatever you want, but that's how it felt to me, you know, that I was able to remove myself from my body and be somewhere else as some of that, you know,
was, unfolding, occurring.
Yeah.
What came in, there was 3 things that came in other than that just now, and they were, I think, this connection to source with the songwriting
Yeah.
and creativity, and definitely when painting and at the piano or just walking along and singing a song, and that coming in, like making something out of nothing, I guess I refer to it as. Definitely that has always been something that has helped me to realize that there's something else happening here, and it's much bigger than me. And I just am fortunate that I'm on that, dial on the radio, the great frequency radio. Thank God. Here's another great one. I was so moved by the Tibetan community in Sydney. And at a certain point, it just happened just by accident. But I was just really moved by them and their story and how they'd come over from there and they were living in Sydney, and I became connected with them. And I remember wearing a Free Tibet t-shirt once at that gig in Manly, actually. And this awesome Tibetan dude came through the audience and he's like, "Oh, brother," and it turned out actually that he was a very revered musician and would actually wake up the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala at the temple. And he was out here, with his wife, and she's a beautiful singer. And I became really close with them and their family. And from that experience, then started volunteering whenever the Dalai Lama came to Australia. And so sometimes I put out chairs, or sometimes I would drive artists to the concerts, be the driver. And whenever I just made myself available to be around when that would happen, And then always with the imaginarium of that I would compare one of the events or something, and then I'd get my blessing from him because he had always been somebody that I was very inspired by, and started collecting his books and was reading, very focused on checking out what he was talking about for a long time. And that actually did come true. One day, by accident, we did a silent protest in Tombalong Park at Darling Harbour in Sydney, and there wasn't any speeches and there wasn't any rah-rah at all. We just sat, 5,000 of us actually sat in the park and sat quietly as we played a montage of photos of all the people that had, been affected by the things that were going on over there. And it was a very beautiful protest, and he actually heard about it. He was at the entertainment centre doing one of the week-long readings and the work that he was doing out here that he continues to do. And he heard about it, and he wanted to come over to say thank you to everyone and say hello. And you can imagine what that did with his own services to have to come and check out the space and all that. And then obviously the police in Australia that were there that had to check everything out because he was going to pop over. So, it's like everyone's like, the Dalai Lama's coming over, it was like, it was a pretty wild moment. And then, so he came over and I was comparing the event, I was there to make sure everyone was safe and let everybody know where, the toilets were and what was going to happen and what was going to be going on. And so then I had to introduce him. And so I'm standing in that moment going, this is actually going to happen now. And so I did, and he walked on stage, and he, as usual, he made a few jokes and gets everyone laughing and comfortable, and sat there, and he stayed, and he talked to everyone, and a few people came on stage, and they then were able to share, and it turned into this whole other thing than what had been planned. The organisers standing there going, "Wow, we didn't see this coming," but it was such a beautiful event. And then, as they do traditionally, someone in his team had the scarves to say thank you to everyone that was involved in the event. And because I was comparing, I was sort of standing back to then thank him, And so everyone was like giving their blessing, and then I was kind of just standing there, and I could notice that there was one left. And so I went over to do my job, and then he was holding it. And so I went, "Oh, that must be for me." And I bent down and he put it around my neck. And because that was just like maybe 20 years of me, being connected with him in the way that I was personally, it was just way too overwhelming for me to deal with, and I just burst into tears, you know. And I went, ladies and gentlemen, His Holiness, and, you know, on the microphone. And it was the most amazing thing. He grabbed my elbow and I turned around and he says, "Are you okay?" to me. And I went, "Yeah," like, no, but yeah. Like, it was just such a strange thing to happen, you know. And then I just sort of moved my arm like this, and then I walked to walk him off, and he kept holding onto my arm, and I like walked him off the stage. And afterwards, I'm just standing there going, "What actually just happened?" Like in a lifetime, you know, for these things. Like, I was talking to you this morning at breakfast about, for 15 years, all I was thinking about was learning off Bob McFerrin, going to New York and studying with him. That happened. You know, this incredible just well of inspiration of reading the, you know, books by, you know, the Dalai Lama and listening to his talks and having him in my world, you know, and then that happening. And then what happened with Keith. And like being a massive fan of John Farnham, and then, you know, somewhere along the way, he and I connected and actually, you know, would be able to connect with each other and talk about music and, like, you know, but you're standing there in those moments going, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
You know, like quite amazing in a lifetime, you know, to have these things happen.
Is there anything that hasn't happened that you've always dreamed about or tried to manifest, like musically?
Yeah, well, those things I mentioned, like about not, you know, getting in any of the roles in any of the shows.
Yeah.
Ever, you know, and definitely some of the bigger things in the career that you just imagine. It's funny, it's sort of cocky, really. You're younger and think, yeah, that's going to happen for me. I'm going to be massive, you know, and all these things are going to happen. So yeah, lots of things, actually. Yeah, quite a lot of things. And they've been really challenging to face, you know. But also, now I'm not sure if this is true or not, really, but I feel at the moment that we can all do anything. I feel like it's a time where that anything can happen. I really believe that now. You know, I don't think that the things that haven't happened that I wanted to have happen, that they still may happen. I feel as though that they still may happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I don't know yet, I guess, is the honest answer to that question. You know, I don't really know yet because I'm still here, and those things are all still possibilities.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I mean, I sit with my disappointment through expectation. And some days it's much harder than others, you know, and I'm human, so I can, you know, get really upset about stuff and then lose my momentum because I get stuck in that. And I can get stuck in this grief some days and not be able to move and story. Yeah. And then, but when I'm in the gratefulness and the patience that I spoke to you about and being kind, I made a promise to myself this year. It wasn't a New Year's resolution. It was bigger than that. I just promised that I would be kind to myself. And I said it like out loud. I just said, from now on, I'm going to be kind to myself. And yeah, it seems to be working pretty well.
What does that look like?
Just the self-talk, I think, was a big shift. That stuff that goes on internally. Yeah, that needed to stop. Certainly the destructive part of me and the part that isn't helpful, you know. So, and yeah, just in the way that I speak with myself, and then also just how I show up for others, I think, as well, you know. I said something to the children quite often, but recently I shared it with them again, and I just said, I've focused on wanting to be in their presence and be sitting somewhere with them and talking and interacting, and then for somebody that I know to walk up and say, "Oh, hi, mate," and then I go, "Oh, g'day," and I talk to them, and then the children don't notice a difference in how I am with that person from how I was just being with them. Yeah. And then hopefully that person that I know doesn't feel that I'm being any different to them than I've ever been. And I think in the last few years, I've been really focused on how I could make that my purpose, and just really be very consistent in who I am here, and basing it certainly from that place of like from being a father,
Yeah.
and the relationship with those two souls who are my teachers. I'm sure of it, you know, and just so luminous, and I'm super grateful to whatever divine forces that came together in order for me to be a part of them existing. But yeah, they've been really helpful to me on so many levels, and I think that sharing that with them again just recently to say, hey, that's what I'm really focusing on at the moment, is that that is actually happening, you know, because I've always really wanted them to see me in all of me, you know, and I think they have. I've really been very open with them about what I'm going through and where I am and all that throughout their lives, you know.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like that was important for them to know that I'm their dad, but I'm also a man living on a planet going through a whole lot of stuff.
Making mistakes. Doing crazy shit. Yeah.
Yep. All of that,
Yeah.
you know, and facing all the challenges and getting up when, you know, shit pushes you down pretty hard.
I think it's really important for particularly men to be willing, and I think that's one of the things I love about you and that I've always been drawn to you because of, is the fact that there's always been a willingness to kind of go, okay, I'm going to show you the real me, you know? I think what you've, you know, you own all your stuff. Like even we were talking earlier and I asked you whether, you know, what would you say to some of the people that you've been close to that you've lost? And you said, well, I'd let them know I'm clean and sober.
Yeah.
You know, even the willingness to kind of acknowledge that is just like, that's medicine, man.
Yeah, it certainly feels like that.
It's medicine, you know?
Yeah.
It's medicine for you as much as it is for me, hearing that.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah.
Because it's like a permission slip. It's like, okay, you've got tomorrow off school. You know, you can just be you now because no one's pretending here.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have to be ourselves because everybody else is taken. Right? Someone said that, didn't they?
Yes, exactly,
you know
right.
what I mean? Like, it's funny as it sounds.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't, it's amazing, you know? It's like, isn't it wild when you meet somebody, no matter how old they are or who they are, that part of it's irrelevant. But you're in their presence and you go, wow, you are so yourself.
Yeah.
And I stopped talking and just really like am so present when I'm in the presence of somebody who is, you know, vibrating in that frequency. Wow, I find that really inspiring.
Yeah, I'm the same. When I meet people like that, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's something different about you. You have, I don't want to say you've done the work, but you've gone down the path. You know, you've suffered. There's been pain.
Yeah.
There's been all the things.
Yeah.
But for some reason, there's been this willingness to not hide it, to not pretend that it's not there.
Yeah, to not pretend. Yeah, that's the big thing. It's funny, you know, Luke, people ask me why they feel the way that they do when I sing. Like, that's quite common for me to hear.
Yeah.
Like, how come when you sing, I feel like this? Like, you know, I love your singing and, you know, and I feel comfortable in sharing this with you in this environment. I wouldn't normally, but I will here because I want to share this with you. And it comes up quite a lot, you know, and I think about it. I go, wow, why do people like want to know that? I mean, I have an understanding as to why they feel like that because I love singing. And when I'm singing, I in a way, I'm going, you know, check this out. Like, you know, feel this, you know, because in this moment when I'm doing this is medicine for me. And this is making me feel really good right now. And I'm going to put all of myself into this next song, you know, and I want you to feel that with me, you know. So I mean it from this place of more than just that it's a job or that I get paid or I'm on a stage and there's a light on me and I'm wearing a suit. Like all of those things about it are just what's happening. But like really inside what that is, it's like this sharing of going, this is so powerful. Like to be able to get to do this and like really, and in the way that I think that I do it and how, or actually more accurately, how it comes through me. I'm fascinated by having those conversations with people when they go, oh, how come it feels like this? Because it's love. You're feeling what it feels to hear somebody love what they're doing. It's love, and that's what it is. And it's coming to you in vibration and words and melody and all of that and everything that is around it. But I think the essence of it is that it's love. And that's a pretty
it's so unique. It's so unique. I think the temptation for a working musician to kind of judge his or her career and compare that to other careers is probably really strong. Like it's strong for everyone in terms of, if you're doing a thing, then oftentimes, invariably, I think it's to some degree it's part of our nature is to kind of, certainly human nature. I don't think this exists in nature. But I think we just...
Me neither.
But we just compare ourselves, right? We're constantly comparing ourselves. But how could you compare connection? Because that's what I feel that you do is you're creating connection for people. You're doing it through music. You're doing it through voice.
Yeah.
But really, what that person's saying when they say, I don't know why I feel this way, Darren, when I listen to you, is because there's this beautiful mystical transaction going on, know, and there's, you're coming up with this invisible cocktail that somehow touches them and somehow disarms them. And in that moment, they feel a warmth. Yeah. Not necessarily for you. They might think it's for you, but what they're feeling is it's a warmth because we have this connection as human beings, as a community. Yeah. And we're all enjoying this. Yeah. He might be doing the singing, but we're all feeling the same thing. Yeah. And you are the alchemist. You're the one that's turning lead into gold in that moment. That's what I think's happening with you. And I think that's your secret sauce. That's your secret power. And when I think about what is in front of you, you were telling me the other night about, what your plans are, and you're going to kind of bring Mr. Percival back, and you've got an album, that you're working on, and I do want to touch on all that stuff. But I think as you were talking, I was getting excited for you, because as much as you've been in the industry for 30 years, isn't it a beautiful thought to think that your best moments as a singer are in front of you? Yeah. It's very similar to that idea that, you haven't met all the people that are going to love you yet. Yeah. There are people that are going to walk into your life that you haven't met yet. Yeah. And they're going to love you. Yeah. And I think there's something so redeeming and fulfilling as an artist knowing, I've had these amazing moments and I've had some really difficult moments and I've had to reinvent myself professionally and do these other things. But it's what you bring to the art form of yourself that I think creates the magic. Yes, there's the vocal and, and all of the accumulation of technique, that allows you to express yourself the way you do, but without infusing consciousness into that product, it's just a product. Yeah. Yeah. That's how I see it for you. I'm super excited about all the stuff that you've got coming,
Yeah, me too.
And that's not to diminish anything that you've done already. Like that's not to diminish your experience on The Voice and working with James Morrison and Bobby McFerrin. Like, yes, let's bank all that. Yeah. But not at the expense of believing that those were the moments, and
Yeah.
the next moment's going to be somehow less.
You know, I definitely feel there's a lot. There's a lot happening. It's a beautiful wave forming. I can feel it.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the folks in the audience, you know, and those people that come up and make those comments, it's like there's something really beautiful about when, and really powerful actually, and healing when they start singing. And you know that's my passion. You know, I love singing. But when other people start singing with me and we can get that to happen, man, like that's when it's really connected and it goes to this other place, you know. Yeah.
So what is in front of you? Like what are the things you're excited about?
Yeah, well, Mr. Percival's gonna take the looping pedal out of the case, and
It's exciting.
It's really
I
exciting.
got excited when you told me.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So
I was going to suggest it. Hey, you should do this again.
on this podcast. Yeah. What about Mr. Percival? What about Mr. Percival? Yeah. So I'm going to be at Prana Fest this year in June, which is actually at Wood 40 up in Queensland. So Prana Fest's on every year. So they've invited me to be a part of it, and I said, "Oh, hey, would it be cool for Mr. Percival to come back?" So and they were up for that. So that's going to most likely that'll be like the first gigs in June. And there's an album I've been working on for quite a while. And so I'll try and drop that this year if I can. And really focused on returning to Woodford Folk Festival at the end of the year. So really, looking at that happening. I was there for 11 years and hadn't been back for about 6. So I popped back in for a few days last year and had a look at what's happening there now. And it's so beautiful. And I really could imagine that I could come back this year and get singing with the folks again, and Mr. Percival can do some shows, and so that'll be really cool. And I've actually got all of the music that I wrote through COVID in these little EPs that because there's quite a lot of music, and so they're all in their own little houses.
Okay.
And so we're working on getting them all finished up and getting those out. So. And I'm really excited about that because it's better for them to be out in the world than in my phone. So I'm excited about that happening. Some really beautiful music in there, and lots of we were talking about journaling, and I think I shared with you this morning that I feel like it's been my writing those songs has been my how I've got through the last 5 years. So it's all pretty much in those tunes. So that'll be great to share. And I launched a project with Phil Stack. Folks would know him from the great Australian rock band Thirsty Merc, amongst a whole of other gigs and projects he's involved with. But yeah, we joined forces and we called our duo Percival Stack. And it's music for acoustic, bass, and vocal. And we also have some pedals on the floor. But I'm really looking forward to doing more gigs with him this year and moving forward. Because last year was great. We worked on it for about 5 months and we did a launch in Sydney, did a couple of shows, and we've done a few other things. So we're looking to do some seasons as part of festivals and, in venues around the country and potentially, around the world. So that's super exciting. He's a really old friend as well. So that'll be great. And yeah, there's a few things. My focus really is on bringing people together to sing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the raw gatherings, the whisper gatherings, and some other things that I'm working on at the moment. Very focused on having them out in the field and getting people singing together and, unleashing their voice and embracing the unknown. And someone maybe 2 weeks ago at a gathering on the Sunshine Coast up in Queensland, at the end of one of the gatherings, he came over to me and he said, "Thank you so much, brother. That was so much fun." He said, "I felt like you taught me how to be uncomfortable outside of my comfort zone." I just thought that was such a great way to share what we just done for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because those gatherings are so fun and they're safe and they're supported but people really get an opportunity to express themselves vocally and with movement and in some of the other modalities as well, which is really great. But for everyone really. So I'm really focused on getting that to happen as well. So yeah, quite a lot of stuff to look forward to.
Isn't it weird how we just love the comfort zone? It's like, it's so
Right?
safe. We love it.
Whatever happened that was great that came out of a comfort zone.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Even when you think about how you learn and what you learn, I mean, I think there's some learning in winning and succeeding, but I think the lion's share of the learning, like the deep learning, is in the failures. It's in the loss. It's in the, I didn't get the part. I didn't get the part in the musical.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I essentially, and a lot of people stop me from saying this when I go to say it, but I feel as though I can say it because I was standing there. But, they didn't read my name out as the winner of the Voice Australia Series 1. They called out somebody else's name. So in a sense, for somebody else, it would feel as though, well, I lost, you know. But because I reached my own personal goal in that experience of getting to where I wanted to and being the last member of, Team Keith, I felt really good about what I'd done, and I'd done my best, and I am really proud of, what I recorded and what I captured and how I was with everybody and all that, because that has always been a big part of my acumen in doing this. It's like the relationships with everybody, like on the crew and in the band, and that's all of that is really important to me. And I don't think that it's part of some kind of like people pleasing, characteristic of me. I think it's actually just more part of the job. Is that I just feel as though that's how I'm meant to do it. It's a big part of what it is for me to do this. It's equally as important that I sing in tune, that I'm on time, and that I'm easy to work with, and that people enjoy working with me. So I was super happy about that. But to stand there in front of like 4 million people essentially watched that. There's not a big population in Australia, so that's quite a lot of people living on this island. And what happened afterwards out in the world and interacting with people was very interesting. So I'd never experienced that before. I'd had failures that were private. I'd had things happen to me that nobody knew about at all, because they weren't there, or I hadn't put them on Instagram. And so everybody watched that happen. And so some of the interactions out in the world with people, and it's Australia. So you'll be standing in the bank or in the post office or at a shop or something, and some bloke will walk past and goes, "Oh, you dropped the ball, mate," out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Or someone would come up and go, I don't know, show you their phone because they'd voted for you, and go, "Oh my God, that was so great and thank you. And we just were so upset that you didn't win." Like that happened a lot for months.
Really?
Oh yeah, very much. But you can't buy that kind of exposure.
How did that make you feel?
Well, I would always explain to them that I didn't feel that I did. And I meant that genuinely. I didn't feel as though I did. But in the moments where things became challenging much later than that, and I was in darker places within myself with things that weren't happening for me personally, let's say, not even related to the business. If I wanted to go there, I could easily step into the fact, oh yeah, well, I didn't win that, and I didn't do this, and this didn't happen, and that hasn't happened. And, and that's that relationship with myself that I've had to actually really check in with in order to get well. Because I think that's very ingrained in me particularly to operate in that way, and it can just come out of nowhere as well. And yeah, I can certainly get caught up in that narrative of that, and that can really, can sometimes even get swept up in it a bit for too long, and it can turn into, a day.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I just have to really watch, I think.
Yeah.
And without, destroying myself on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like I was.
Yeah.
And I definitely think I was doing that to deal with all of this stuff that I hadn't faced. I feel everything all the time now. And I'm uncomfortable, several times a day. And it's not hard to share with you that I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Because I know what I understand fully now what the consequences are if I don't stay on this path. I know what they are now.
What are they?
I would say their hospitalization in a place where, you stay for quite a while. I don't know. It could be as severe as, getting put away for something that happened that I'd done that was, very bad as a result of the choice to begin destruction again. I mean, ultimately the ground, They say that when you go to your first meeting, certainly in AA, is that you don't really go there unless you're faced with those three things.
Yeah.
And when I went to the first meeting, I was on my knees that day. I was actually on my knees.
Lowest point?
No, actually not the lowest point. The lowest point was in the immense loneliness of the destruction. And that went on for years. They were the lowest points. That was a high point.
Yeah.
I think there's an old Polish saying, and I hope that's correct, and it translates into English as, I got to the bottom of the barrel and I heard somebody knocking underneath. So, no, I don't think I've got there yet. But I never say I've lost everything, because I haven't. Ever, actually.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed. But yeah, it was a very large afternoon, and time and space shifted, and I could not find myself no matter what I did. I went and had an osteo appointment to try to get back in, and I was really fortunate to get into that, and that happened. And then I went and had a massage I thought, no, that's okay. That'll get me back into my body, and it was good. And it was like really, I wanted it to be quite intense so that it could really move me, and I could feel. Didn't really do anything. I tried to get into a light worker that I was connected with at the time, see if I could have some kind of like emergency appointment, get in there and check in, and she was like booked out. There was no way. And there wasn't anybody that I could call. I mean, I'd lost my mate, so I felt quite rudderless in that. Would have been able to reach out to him, and he would have talked me into another place instantly. He wasn't there. Yeah, I felt like alone in a world full of people that afternoon, and I'm not actually. I just could not find home, and so I just, I put in AA, and it just happened. I didn't even think about it. I just went ching ching, and there was a meeting starting an hour and a half after that, and so I drove. Excuse me. I drove to a restaurant around the corner from the hall where it was being held. And I ordered something that I thought would take a while to cook so that I'd miss the meeting. Actually. And I shared that because it came out really quickly and it was delicious, and I ate it, and I was like, I'm going to have to go now. And, and I went in, and they opened the door, and as soon as I walked in, like, all these people stood up and shook my hand, and I just there was not any indication that it was a room full of I don't know, it wasn't what I had imagined that it was the whole time I'd been destroying myself. I had this image of what that was, and I was never going to go. I was never going to be a part of that, because it just wasn't for me. That's not what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. Every time I share, I say at the end, what else am I wrong about? Every time. This is what it did for me. and just was like, oh, wow, I had no idea that's what happens here. And never felt more a part of, I don't want to say this and feel like I've diminished anything I've ever been a part of before, but personally for me, I never felt more a part of something.
Wow.
Within myself.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah. And whenever my foot hits that floor on the other side of that door, the warmth that comes over me with what's about to happen, you know, I can be, it's really interesting in there, and you'll dig this. And people watching this most likely are going to resonate with this as well, is that one thing I didn't expect and that I'm fascinated by is how I talk there when I share, what my voice does. It's a voice that I've never used before. And I've used a lot of this instrument to be lots of things. I've had to sound like people, and I've had to sing certain genres, and, you know, like I can do a lot with my instrument. I am the most of I am when I'm in that room.
Wow.
It's profoundly moving, man. I started talking and I was just like, what is this voice like?
Yeah.
Who is speaking?
Yeah.
You know, that thing of who is speaking that people say, like teachers say. Yeah, I'm sitting there going, literally, who is speaking? And I'm talking. And not that I don't feel as though I'm talking with you right now, and I haven't in this whole experience, but yeah, it's very different.
Is there any part of you that wishes some of that stuff didn't happen?
Which part?
Like the difficult moments, like the things that you think back upon and think, I should have, you know, woulda, shoulda, coulda. You know, I should have zagged left when I should have gone right. I wish that thing didn't happen.
Yeah, I wish things didn't happen. I wish people that hurt me made a different choice. Actually, I really do wish that quite a lot of people that chose to hurt me had made a different choice. Because the bullying would have been less in school, and the uncomfortable moments of feeling like you're weak and you can't defend yourself, and feeling unsafe, basically.
Yeah.
At times when you're meant to feel the most safe. Yeah, I would definitely really appreciate a whole lot of people to have been more respectful.
Yeah.
And considerate and kind and gentle. And that would have been very helpful to me.
Yeah.
And I mean that all through my life.
Yeah.
I really would have loved that. I feel as though there's something in treating others how you'd like them to treat yourself. But it's sort of tricky to do if you're 5.
Yeah.
Or 11 or 17 or 26.
Yeah.
You know, how?
Yeah.
You know, you're a kid. And you're also just finding your way, and you're naive and, you know, focused on this thing that you want to do, and being called to, you know, be in this vibration, and so much stuff's going on that you just have no way of understanding, because it's just so, when you're so connected, you know, like I'm here, man. I'm here. I'm in this. You know, I bought my ticket. I'm on the ride.
Yeah.
As Bill Hicks said.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I love being alive. And I really enjoy what happens here for us.
Yeah.
All these things that we get to do. I feel so blessed that, I mean the simple things. I mean the waking up in the day, and I mean all those things that are just so precious.
Yeah.
You know, that are away from all of those other things, some that we've spoken about. You know, I really honor those beautiful things that we get to do, and more so now than ever, because I can feel them. I can feel the sun on my skin, and I can feel what it's like when I fill up with oxygen, and I can feel again, you know. I think when you come through some things, and my story isn't really as enormous as others and other people that share, you know, their perspective on their journeys. It's just mine. But I can say to you that, it's a really beautiful time to be alive.
Yeah, I get that from you. I really do. I remember seeing, it was a long time ago. It's taken me a while to really appreciate this, but I remember a long time ago I saw when LL Cool J was at his height, you know, he, I don't know much about him, but he strikes me as being a pretty in tune, in touch guy.
Yeah,
you
me
know?
too.
And I remember seeing this clip. I don't know where I saw it, but he was looking straight down the barrel of the camera. And he said, he went on this riff and he said, in quite an aggressive tone, you know, like this grit to it, this edge to it, like it was almost this sort of accusatory tone. And he was saying to anyone that's ever doubted me, to anyone that's ever broken my heart, betrayed me, not believed in me, robbed me, lied to me, hurt me, I say thank you.
Oh, wow.
You know? And that was a real moment for me because I thought, why? Why is he saying that? And I didn't quite understand why are you thankful for your disappointments? Why are you thankful for your failures?
Yeah.
And I just thought, holy shit, this guy's from the street and he's figured out that he had to have those things. They were like bricks, part of the foundation, you know? And besides there being no point in having regrets, I think it's interesting to kind of invert your perception of those things and think, well, you know, you did hurt me, but thank God you did.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God you did, you know.
Yeah.
I think about my situation, you know, like getting fired, man, in like a really combustible, you know, phosphorescent way.
Yeah. Well,
You know, like great drama, being the talk of the company for a couple of days, you know, being walked out of the building after 7 years.
wow. Yeah.
And coming in and saying, you're out and you're leaving today, you know. Took a while for me to get to that point of thank fuck that happened. Thank God. And thank you, you know. Just, you know, I would thank in fact, I have, you know, the people involved, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, because that was incredibly transformative for me. And it was like striking a match and touching a fuse.
Yeah.
Which led to this chain reaction of other things taking place in my life, relationships ending, relationships beginning, friends leaving, friends coming, reconnecting, disconnecting, so many things, none of which would ever have happened. This podcast podcast is not happening if I'm still in that job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've really tried to cultivate this perspective of, you know, once you really feel that grief and it's, you know, once it starts to leave or it gets a bit lighter to hold, that's when you can go, okay, this has also brought me something as well. It's created some space.
That's it, man.
It's created space for new stuff to come. And I think the challenge or the opportunity is, are you brave enough to sit in the not knowing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And wait.
Yeah, and wait.
And wait for it.
That's it.
You know? Like we were talking about accommodation last night.
Yeah.
Do you wait for the right apartment or do you just get something straight away?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the space, man. There's so much in that.
Because no one's doing that. Everyone's rushing to the next thing. You get fired from a job, you lose your job. I've got bills to pay. It's the next, I've got to get the next thing.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I shared with you about the panic, but not sitting in the panic and taking the moment, you know, every morning to sit, you know. And I think I shared with you the other day, I was sitting on the veranda and I was singing a song. I had to sing it last night and I knew that I had to. And so I was going through it in my head as I was having a cup of tea. And at exactly the same time, I started writing an email that I had to send. And that's happening. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that's pretty normal. And then I started doing some sums of some stuff, things that had to get paid or whatever, and that was going on. And then something else started happening. And then there was someone else working away. This is all happening in my head in real time. I can hear it all happening. You know, You make me feel so young. Dear so-and-so with the something or other thing. I say, oh, yeah, but if I move the thing over there, and it's like, what about, the thing? Oh, but hang on, why did you say that? Or what happened there? And like, oh, don't forget to get the, avocados.
Yeah.
All at once,
Yeah.
And I put the teacup down and I went, okay, everyone, let's listen to what we can hear. Let's go into the meditation now. Rarely have to do it audibly. Like I actually had to say it. I said, okay, well, like I hear you. I love you. I'll get back to you. That beautiful, beautiful gift. And then I sat there and I started to work in on, as I do each morning, listen to, the sounds of the street and around, the birds. And there's a renovation happening at the bottom of the hill, so I could hear the guys, the radio on, and the sounds of the building and them talking and stuff, the cars. The helicopter actually went over, which was coincidental. And even got to the point in that meditation, I don't know how long it went for, maybe between 10 and 15 minutes, but managed to get in that one where I wasn't even naming the sounds with the voice. They were just happening. And when I came out of that, I was like, and that happens occasionally. I have to really, I try not to go, I'm meditating, so I'm trying not to do that at the moment. Like it to happen very gently and just be again, just something I'm going to do that morning. But it was so moving because it was so noisy and then became so quiet. The work I did after that, in that day, I was in flow for like several hours, And I was just really enjoying what I was doing and things were happening and just being in that ease of that day, And I'd like to think that that's going to be able to happen more regularly and more often. But I'm also okay that there'll be the mornings when there is going to be that mind traffic.
Yeah.
And I know how to manage it now. I know that I don't have to do those other things that I thought were helping it.
Yeah.
And I know that I can sit there and go, okay, now stop. Let's do this. Let's see how productive we can be. And if, we can't be, let's see what we can do for our body and let's move. Let's get some momentum happening and let's eat well and let's keep our head in our hands as we're making everything and let's be present. Let's be present in the experiences, and try not to talk over people when they're talking and listen and, bring about those changes now and just have them be part of who I am. And just, tread gently, I think, and just see, how that feels and what happens as a result of doing that, And like I said, be kind to myself. And I think that I'm really excited about that as much as I'm excited about all the things that are going to happen artistically, musically and creatively. And also with all the, as you said, the new relationships and connections and all of those things. I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen in myself. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And maybe for the first time in my life, actually.
Yeah. Could
be that I'm just really excited about what's going to happen tomorrow. Because I'm so pleased that I'm sitting here with you and that we just had this conversation and now we're about to go and see the band that you shared with me when we first hung out here and was like, oh yeah, check these guys out, man. And we sang their tunes and all that. And then tonight now we go and get to see them live. And just all these blessings that are coming to us. It's really...
Feels like a pretty good place to finish. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to touch on or talk about?
I think that there's a lot that we didn't get to.
Yeah.
And I reckon we can, come back in...
Maybe around 2.
In series 2.
Yeah.
And whenever that is. And that'd actually be really great. I think that we come back to this spot and reconnect. Yeah. And check in on how we both are and how we're feeling and what's happening. Yeah. It could be really cool. Yeah. But no, I love today. I really enjoyed this. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Dude, my pleasure.
Very happy for you. that this is happening, and just the way that you're showing up, not only in this space, but in your relationships and in your life and with what you're doing. It's very bright.
Well, I'm trying to do the same thing that you're doing, just in a different way. Like just leading through vulnerability and authenticity.
Yeah.
I think that's particularly for men. I think there's a lot of potency in that.
Yeah.
And like I said to you earlier, I think that's, whether you're aware of it or not, you've been able to bring your gift to your soul. You've been able to merge gift with soul, and that's your offering. And that's what people mean when they say, Darren, it just makes me feel good to, that's what they're really saying is they love your voice, but it's the combination of the two. And that's why I get so excited for you, because I think there are, knowing you the way I think I do, you're going to keep on looking for every possibility and every way of improving as a musician and as a vocalist. But you're also going to keep on doing the soul work as well, right?
Yeah.
Which makes the offering even more potent.
Yeah, that's true. It sure does.
So that's what I'm excited about for you.
Yeah, me too, brother.
Thank you, dude.
Thank you, man.
I love you.
I love you, man.
I think you're an amazing person.